I want to talk to you about the concept of being perceptive. And I'm going to read the definition of what perceptive means. Having or showing an ability to understand and notice something easily or quickly. Again, having or showing an ability to understand or notice something easily or quickly. It has been my discovery that the art of being perceptive has been lost through the eons of time. See, for me to watch you and perceive from you has to be that I stop thinking of what I want and what I want to say and how I want to act and pay attention to you. I had this incident happen to me last week. Someone donated something to me, and I was really appreciative. And I went up to them, and they said, I told them, thank you. And I noticed that they looked down at my hand. And being that I am perceptive, I looked at that glance, and automatically my brain engaged and said, they're waiting for a handshake. And this all happened in milliseconds. It wasn't something that, ooh, let me stop and think. No, Dora was there. I think the problem started with Dora, right? When she had to say, stop, let's stop and think. Shouldn't we be thinking before we stop? It should be something to where it's naturally you are engaged with someone and you said thank you. You did the right thing, because believe me, I've had many to not even say thank you. So I already went further than most and I said thank you. But the moment he looked down at my hand, I realized my hand went up. And when my hand went up, you know what his hand did? His went up too. And we grasped each other's hand and shook it. And I said again, thank you. I really appreciate it. Then I find I go home and I have to use adjectives after adjectives to describe an action because no one is perceiving what I have to say. Now, I have had someone tell me, why did you do that? Oh, you know, I wanted to be preemptive. I wanted to do it before you said it. That's not perceptive. It's not the same thing. You doing something before someone said it most likely will be the wrong thing because you did not anticipate my actions correctly. You went and had your own reasoning, your own thought, your own logic, and you totally abandoned the conversation. Now, we have a millennium of people who are disconnected from everyone else because we're not paying attention to everyone because we're so busy waiting to text it. We're going to text our life. That's going to be an interesting life, right? Let's have kids. Let's text it. Will you marry me? Yes, I will. Where are we going to go for our honeymoon? I don't know. It's up to you. Then, this is the worst one. A face sent. They send a face back. Double face sent. They send 3 faces back. 4 faces sent. Shmoo you. And he's like, what do you mean by smooth? Shaking my head. Smooth you. You know, eventually people are going to start talking like that. Yeah, they're going to be saying some stuff, and poor Generation X folks, we're going to be like, what in the world? What? Use your words. We are using our words. It's smooth. No, it's not smooth. Last night I could not sleep, so I went through and I started reading the speeches of Abraham Lincoln. Abraham Lincoln had a lot to say. They say that his Gettysburg Address was the best oral presentation ever given by any human being. Something else I found out about Abraham Lincoln, which I never knew because it's not in the history book, he owned his own newspaper. Abraham Lincoln became president of the United States without any formal education. He taught himself. I remember when I was a teenager and I went to orchestra class. I was 13, well 12 when I started. And as I walked into orchestra class, my parents enrolled me in orchestra. And they had beginner orchestra, they had intermediate orchestra, and they had advanced orchestra. And here I am going to orchestra expecting to be a beginner. Lo and behold, I did not qualify for beginner status. Neither did I qualify for intermediate status. But they stuck me in advance. Here is the problem. I had never picked up a string instrument before. What's wrong with these teachers? The gall to stick me in a class where I have no formal training, and I walked in and the teacher hands me the violin case and hands me a book and tells me to practice in the closet until I catch up with everyone else. Now, I want you to stop and think, poor Dora, here we go again. How would it be if you joined the orchestra and I hand you an instrument and a book, and I tell you, come see me when you catch up? You see, the art of being perceptive has also to do with the written language. You can read it, comprehend it, understand it, mimic it, perform it. I cannot, in good conscience, give a book to any kids coming today and say, go learn this and come back when you have it. Because our technology has caused us not to perceive. We have lost the ability of looking at someone and the person not say a word to me and I understand what she is saying. See, I already lost some of you. But she didn't say a word. So how is she talking? You know, a glance speaks. See, I watch as I'm looking at some of you and you're kind of like, whatever. I perceive. So I want you to turn to Luke chapter 5, verse 22. If Jesus had it, we need it. We need it because Jesus had it. That's simple to understand, correct? Luke 5, verse 22. When Jesus perceived their thoughts, he answered them, "Why do you question in your heart? Which is easier to say, your sins are forgiven you, or to say, rise and walk? But that you may know that the Son of Man has authority on earth to forgive sins." He said to the man who was paralyzed, "I say to you, rise, pick up your bed, and go home." And immediately he rose up before them and picked up what he had been lying on and went home, glorifying God. And amazement seized them all, and they glorified God and were filled with awe, saying, "We have seen extraordinary things today." The whole conversation to the people began because Jesus was perceptive. I want you to consider that when someone tells you something, do you always need someone to clarify before you get it right? If you always need clarification before you get it right, your sense of perception is dead. So how do we make a sense rise up from the dead when it is dead? I'm glad you asked that question, because I sound like the prophet who said, "Can these dead men's bones live?" And the answer was yes, they can live. The reason why one generation cannot perceive while the other generation is very perceptive is that the generation who does not perceive is selfish. You're stuck on you. See, for me to perceive what Donna has to say, I have to stop thinking what I want. I have to pay attention to Donna. I have to look at her and say, okay, whatever she has to say right now is important. I want you to understand how perceptive you can be. Yesterday, as I walked in the door, I looked at someone and just a glance, and I looked away, and then I looked back and said, are you okay? See, with just a glance, I perceived she was not okay. Now, some of you will think, oh, it's that you are a prophet. That has nothing to do with it. Most prophets are very perceptive. See, perceiving comes with the gift, but everyone can be perceptive. I have watched as our teenagers that are 19 and under, I give them directions and they come back for the clarification. Okay, let me make sure I got it right. And you don't realize that annoys me, because I remember that my dad would tell me stuff like cut the grass. And when he came home, cut the grass didn't mean just cut the grass. How many of you understand that? See, for the millenniums, you don't understand that, right? Because cut the grass means cut the grass, right? Well, cut the grass never means just cut the grass. Chris, does cut the grass just mean cut the grass to you? He's looking at that. I can't talk. I'm on this camera. How about you, Steve? Cut the grass mean just cut the grass? Well, if you have all this pile of leaves all over the grass, how are you going to cut the grass? Go cut the grass, a generic term. That means you get the hedger and you're going to hedge the side. You're going to rake the yard. You're going to cut the grass. You're going to pick up the debris. You're going to do everything that comes along with cutting the grass. No, our generation, rake the yard. Get on the lawnmower. Turn it on. Put it on drive. Go around in the circle until you cut the whole entire thing. Put the lawnmower back. Turn it off. Make sure that it's on park. Then get the weed eater and weed eat the side. And we have to go through all of this whole spiel just for what my dad would say, cut the grass. Now here it is. We're listening, but we don't know how to fix it yet, right? Because we also need to get the answer. The questions are no longer good enough. There was a time that the questions were the important factor. It's no longer the question. It's now you got to give me the answers too. It's one of those, tell me what to do. What do I do next? I've really messed this up. Why is it every time I do something, I mess it up? Oh, I'm just a mess up. Oh, I never get anything right. You need to stop being so selfish. See, here's the thing about selfish. It's the self-defined. Selfish. Me. We look like those squawking birds on that Nemo. Mine. This is what I want. This is how I want to get to it. This mine. Oh, I have the right to get angry at my boyfriend when he didn't do anything wrong. I got that right. Because it's me. You know, you got to validate my emotions. They mean something. It's me. Well, I grew up in a generation where I wasn't even allowed to have an opinion. So therefore, I was full of it. I was full of opinions because I could not have one. So when I was told something, my brain engaged. And let me tell you, every neuron that I had on my frontal lobe was firing all at the same time because I was not allowed to have an opinion. I wasn't even allowed to speak back. As my mom would say, I'm going to box you. That means slap. The moment one of my siblings said something back, see, my mom had this thing. She wanted to have the last word. She'll tell you, I'm going to have the last word. And if you didn't let her have her last word, you got slapped. Ooh, and don't let her be in the kitchen and she's cooking or doing something, because she'll throw whatever is available. You sit there, you answer back, and then you hear the next word come out of her mouth saying, duck, after the item has left her hand. You had to be quick, or else you got hit. And sometimes you're not even looking. I mean, she's back there doing something, and then you heard duck. You had to move quick, and you watch that pan just fly by you. It's like, whew. You weren't allowed to call mom crazy. You got boxed for that too. Y'all don't know when you get back slapped. You've only seen the front slap. You haven't seen back slap. See, this is front slap. But this is front slap combo. Back slap. See, we had to be perceptive because the thing that came next was painful. I heard this. My dad would say this over and over. I only speak once. So the moment he opened his mouth, what are you doing? I'm paying attention. Why? My life depends on it. It's like you got a whooping because you did it wrong. Now, how many of you get whoopings for doing it wrong? Now, for those over 30, how many of you got whoopings for doing it wrong? Y'all look around. Come on, raise the hand really big, really high. All right, the rest of you who did not get whoopings for doing it wrong, you're millenniums. We got whoopings for doing it wrong. Now, I didn't. I never got one. I paid attention. Well, your parents didn't believe in whoopings. Next time you see my dad, ask him. 2 siblings, Diana and Louis, got their daily dose of whoopings. Every day they're going to get a whooping. I don't know why they didn't learn. The whole idea is I need to be perceptive. I need to listen, and after I finish listening, I need to understand there are certain concepts of communication that can be lost in the translation. What was said, what was meant to be said, and what was understood. Now, when you always have to ask, can you please rephrase that, is because you didn't listen to what was said. First of all, what was said does not have to be accurate. Oh, I'm really messing up the millenniums. If my wife were to say, go and take this out of the stove, and you go to the stove and there's nothing in the stove, Mom, there's nothing in the stove. No, you know what I would have done? I would have realized, Mom set the stove, but there's nothing in the stove, so let me check in the refrigerator. If it's not in the refrigerator, let me check in the microwave. If it's not in the microwave, let me check every cabinet. If it's not in every cabinet, let me check in the pantry. And once I have exhausted everywhere that it can be, I will go back and tell my mom, Mom, I can't find the item. I have checked everywhere. Y'all remember checking everywhere? Then what the parents do? Got to do it myself. Goodness gracious. There it is, right there. There. But Mom, you didn't say it was there. You said it was in the stove. What was said, what was meant to be said. Well, that's part of being perceptive. Yes, because, we are older. We are allowed to say the wrong thing. Yeah, we're allowed. Because you don't have our responsibilities. You wake up in the morning, you have to do schoolwork, you go back to sleep, you eat in between there, you go to the bathroom. That's your whole life. That's all you have to do. We have so much more to do. Recently, since Elijah started on the National Guard, I've been charging him for his own things. I'm not charging him for food. I'm not charging him for lodging. He pays no electricity. He pays no water. He pays no garbage pickup. He pays no insurance. He pays his own little thing. I have my phone. I pay for my phone. I pay for my gas. Got the prom, your prom. You're going to pay for that. So I've been keeping up a tally. And every day when he walks out of his room, there is how much he owes me. And he tells his mom, that is stressing me out, Mom. That is stressing me out. I can't stand owing Dad money. Can't stand it. The perception is not working, because if I was perceptive, I would have thought, man, my dad's spending that on me and he still has 4 other kids. Man, the stress my dad must be in all the time. And I've only been noticing it now that I have a little job. You notice that his perception did not go to what it cost me. It went to what it cost him. Isn't that selfish? Yeah, it is selfish, right? So how do I become global? How do I have someone that presents something to me and I can perceive what was said, what was meant to be said, and what was understood? I have noticed that people can be so stuck that they don't understand concepts. Concepts are not truth. They're ideas. And concepts have to be understood as ideas, not as truth. See, here when we read this scripture, when it says, and Jesus perceived their thoughts, there is a word that represents everybody, but do you know not everybody had that thought? You understand the concept? Because it was not a truth. Everyone didn't think that, but the majority of them did. So he perceived their thoughts. I have to be able to listen to someone and for just a moment, stop thinking of what I want. For just a moment, stop thinking, oh, hey, life isn't fair. I have to have it my way and this and the other. For just a moment, get off your high horse and listen to somebody else. See, I find that my listening skills are pretty good considering I love to talk. If you don't believe me, come and talk to me and then let me write a paper about what you just said. You're going to find out I can listen really well. I can even pull out details that you said and write it back. And I can do that while I'm playing the piano. I can do that while playing the piano and singing and you're talking to me. So what is it with us when we can't pay attention and all you have to do is pay attention? What is it that when we go to school and we have to study so hard because we don't remember what the teacher said? Oh, he said something, but he kept on talking, so I kind of lost the train of thought. I remember when my teacher is talking and there's something important that I need to write, that I turned off the listening so I can write what was important. The problem is, what she said after that was important too. What she said afterward pretty much is going to stay on the test. So I realized, yes, I'm perceptive. I do listen, but she's going at a faster speed that I can write. So let me start recording it. And I began to record every session. And my study time, you know what I'll do? I'll pull out the recording. And I'll go through the recording and I'll rewrite my notes and I'll add the sections that I missed and I would pay attention as if she's doing it the very first time. And I already know in my notes this certain section, I marked it. I missed that section. I put something blank in parentheses. So while I'm listening again, I'm listening for the blanks so I can fill them in. And I fill them in. And I take a quiz because she gives quizzes. Do you know? I have passed every quiz after that. See, it wasn't that my perception was wrong. It's just that my ability to hear at that speed was not adequate. So I had to change. I didn't go to the teacher and say, you need to slow down. You're going too fast, lady. You talk 1,000,000 miles an hour. Who can keep up with you? No, it wasn't about me, was it? I had to change because she can't change her teaching for just me. How about those who can get it all? What did she start going slow? I think we'll all be bored. Turn to chapter 6, same book in Luke, chapter 6, verse 6. On another Sabbath, he entered the synagogue and was teaching. And a man was there whose right hand was withered. And the scribes and the Pharisees watched him to see whether he would heal on the Sabbath, so that they might find a reason to accuse him. But he knew their thoughts. And he said to the man with the withered hand, come and stand here. And he rose and stood there. And Jesus said to them, I ask you, is it lawful on the Sabbath to do good or to do harm? To save a life or destroy it? And after looking around at them, all he said to him, stretch out your hand. And he did so, and his hand was restored. But they were filled with fury and discussed with one another what they might do to Jesus. Now, if you have somewhere that you can underline verse 8. But he knew their thoughts. It is not that Jesus went inside their heads and heard everything that was going on in there. Is that he had a knack, an ability, a sense of being perceptive. See, when I'm speaking to someone, I am not just looking at them and hearing what they have to say. I am watching them entirely. Because communication is not just a whole bunch of words. I have seen people who have great vocabularies who cannot communicate. See, communication, you can get a little 2-year-old that can communicate. You don't have to be educated to know how to communicate. You just have to be articulate. Yes, a baby is articulate. A newborn baby can communicate what the baby needs. The parents will learn the baby's language. We've had 3 babies in my house, and I can tell you, just by hearing the sound of their cry, I knew what was wrong with them. See, I knew that was a poopy cry. I knew that's a wet cry. I knew that's a teething cry. I knew that's a gassy cry. But then here comes the millennium, start having babies, and here comes the Generation X. Your baby needs to be changed. What? How you know? You can't tell. No, I need to go over there and check the diaper. Why? He's crying like he's wet. That's a I'm wet cry. They sound the same to me. They don't sound the same, right, moms? They don't have the same sound. Babies can't articulate what's wrong with them. They'll figure it out. They'll let you know what's wrong with them. And then when they start to talk, Mommy, hungry. What does that mean? Wait, he doesn't know enough adjectives. Honey, what do you want to eat? Oh, that gets on my nerve. Doesn't that get on your nerve too? Am I the only one when I'm listening to a mom ask their 2-year-old what they want to eat? I'm looking at them like, what is wrong with you? They're 2. How old are you? You don't let them ask what they want to eat. They're going to eat all junk. That's what they want to eat. Oh, wait. Oh, I failed to tell you we got 2 boys that only ate junk food when we got them. And up to now, the mom being part of the millenniums, oh, I just give them what they want. My goodness, you need to be a child for somebody again, learn this all over again. You don't give 2-year-old what they want. You give 2-year-olds what they need. Grow up to be teenagers who always get what they want. Get to be adults who can't do anything. The whole world is against them. Y'all seen some of these teenagers? They get so down and out about little things. Little things just push them all over the edge. Little things. Don't let me have to start to tell you I had to walk to school when I was 6 years old and nobody was there to hold my hand. And it was one of those, put on a uniform, don't talk to strangers. Okay, mommy. There's your lunch. There's your books. Walking to school. How old were you? 6. You knew how to walk to school? Oh, I had a year experience already. Because I walked to school at kindergarten. Why are y'all looking at me like that? Because y'all couldn't walk to school at kindergarten. Come on, let's think about it for a moment. How many fatalities we will have if all of a sudden the kindergartens have to start walking to school? You see how the times have changed. We want to protect you for so much that we end up messing you up because you don't learn skills which you need. See, that taught me how to be perceptive. It did. Because I got to the road. Nobody else was with me. I was by myself. I learned to be perceptive. Have Adrian and Jordan. We're in the parking lot. They take off. Stop running! Oh, I don't know what I did. People are backing out. You don't pay attention. You're going to get hit. Well, why are we stopping them? Because they don't pay attention. They're not perceptive. I have seen some college students at JSU almost get hit. I'm telling you every day. They got their headphones on. They come to the street and they don't even stop. Beep! Oh, sorry, I didn't see you. I'm like, hello, street, cars. Oh, the pedestrian has the right of way. There are no marking signs for you to cross. That's over there. You're jaywalking. You get hit. Not paying attention. What happened? You missed that at kindergarten. You missed hold hands when you cross the street. Y'all remember that? Y'all remember every time we got to a cross stop, you had to hold somebody's hand? So sometimes as adults, we're looking for someone's hand to hold when we get to the man, I'm all by myself. One day I'm going to go to a total stranger. I'm going to do it for sure. I'm going to wait till I'm a lot older and gray hair so they don't think I'm really crazy. So, but I'm going to go to a total stranger when I'm about to cross the road and I'm going to hold their hands. And they're going to look at me and say, what are you doing? Oh, I was taught to hold hands before you cross the street. I hope you don't mind. See, we lost some things of being able to pay attention to other individuals. When did it become that your thought was the only thought that was important? When did that happen? When is it that the way you want to rule your life was of utmost importance and God has nothing to do with it? When did that happen? You got saved and I don't care what he says. I'm going to do what I want to do. Because we lost the art of being perceptive. Here's the truth of the Word of God. Everything that God tells me not to do is not because God doesn't want to stop me from having fun, but because God wants to preserve my life. He that loses his life for my sake will gain it. But he who gains his life we'll lose it. Well, isn't that a paradox? No, that's not two doctors. Some of you didn't get it, right? A pair of docs. They told me if you got to explain the joke, it's not funny. Ariel's still looking at me like, I don't get it. A pair of doctors. It's a paradox. If you lose your life, how can you gain it? You lost it. I have discovered the meaning of losing my life. I really have. You see, when I was a teenager, my goal was to be the best concert pianist in the world. I didn't want to be the best concert pianist in the state because I already was. I wanted to be the best concert pianist in the world. And I aimed after that, and I worked hard for it. And I would practice up to 8 hours every day. And I was committed to it. And one day God told me to put it away. To put my life away. See, that was my life. That wasn't just playing the piano. That was my life. And God told me, you have other gifts you need to develop. And I said, Lord God, it's the only way I know how to live. I'm mad. I bang on my piano. I'm sad. I play sad songs on the piano. I'm happy. I play joyful songs. My music is stuck on my emotions. And are you asking me to stop feeling? You know, God did not answer me back. I asked the question. Do you know to this very day he did not answer those questions? You know what God said? He said, put it away before I take it away. See, the ability of perceiving had to also mean I sometimes have to go without knowing. I have to just do what I'm told to do. My understanding is not required. I'm really messing up some millenniums now. Because, I'm just walking in the dark. No, I wasn't walking in the dark because I was walking in the light. Be in the light as I am in the light. The light was telling me to put it away, so I couldn't be walking in the dark. I just didn't know. And I didn't need to know. I had to give up my life. And in giving up my life, I found my life. Hey, what do you mean? I do believe I am a lot happier and feel a lot more with a sense of success now than if I was the best concert pianist in the world. How self-serving would that be? I'm the best. And then I died. I go to the chronicles of history of one time being the best until someone else outbest me. What am I living for? Living for myself is not fulfilling. Living for others it is. Finding fulfillment through others is a real reason to feel good about yourself. My top piano student put me in the inside cover of his CD. Oh, I love being in the inside cover of his CD. I still do. Still there. I'll probably always be there. They got to reprint my name too. It is an irony that if you go to Google and you put my name, you'll find my piano student comes up. It's my name. What does he come up when you put my name? If I put his name, guess what? My name comes up. How did that happen? Oh, very simply. Not only did he put me in his album, but at one time he had an interview on radio. And in his interview, he discussed me being his teacher. Man, I get the accolades for something I did a long time ago. It was a long time ago. Me, he's a professional, and he's played places that I could only dream of playing. But I get the credit. I wouldn't have done that if I was the best pianist in the world. How about the ones who are still coming up now? When they get fame, you pull up their name, my name will pop up. You put my name, their name will pop up. Ain't that worth it more than just, I'm rich and famous? Have you seen the rich and famous? No, have any of you actually met someone who was rich and famous? I remember my wife went and she met LL Cool J, I think is his name. He was sitting in a restaurant in Miami. She was a teenager who was engaged to be married to me. And she sat next to LL Cool J, and guess what she talked to LL Cool J about? She talked to LL Cool J about me. You think that guy wanted to know anything about her boyfriend? I remember there was one time one of the guys on Miami Vice, at the time Miami Vice was the top rated TV show in the United States. And here comes the guy that plays one of the main characters in Miami Vice. And I was working at a Christian bookstore, and he walked in the door and he says, I want to get the Bible on tape. And I'm looking at the guy and I know who he is. And part of me in the inside is like, ooh, dude, I watch you every Thursday. But I didn't say anything. You know, I just, okay, the Bible's on cassette, all right, over here. On cassette, yeah, a long time ago, on cassette. And this one here is read by James Earl Jones. Y'all don't know who that is either, but love this voice. I mean, good night. I could listen to him all day. Just go ahead and stay on Leviticus, James Earl Jones. You are good to go. Just his voice was that entertaining. And James Earl Jones read that? Yes, okay, I'll have that one. And then he looked at me, he says, do you know who I am? I said, I am well aware who you are. Well, why aren't you jumping all over the place? I'm not jumping all over the place because you had to come back to the source. Y'all understand? See, being rich and famous had his down points. He needed to come back to the Word of God so he can discover who he was. And I was happy about that. He's no longer famous now. The other guy that played with him is. Fame is fleeting. Did y'all know that? Y'all ever watch on the Oscars? Is it the Oscar? Yeah, the Oscars. That little statue is the Oscars, right? When they're showing videos of the people who died that year. You ever notice that? When they're black and white folks, you have no idea who they are. You sit there and, oh, this person died this year. Don't know him. And this person, I don't know that very, don't know him. No. Robin Williams. Oh, I know him. I know him. I know Robin Williams. Most of the people, you don't know. If you don't believe me, watch next year's Oscars when they do the tribute. You'll find that most of the people that died, you've never heard of. But at one time, they were a big deal. Fame is fleeting. So why do you want that? What is it that you want what you want for anyway? And what do you want? See, I decided to go back to school, as all of you know. Been in there now. This is the end of my third year will be soon. Went back to school, started from the beginning. Do you know that the average student at my school is there for 6 years? 6 years. 6 years. You know, I got in trouble last week because I'm finishing too fast. You know, the director of the music department looked at my advisor, which happens to be my professor, and said, he is just moving too fast. He hasn't hardly been here at all, and he's graduating already. Why did you allow him to go so fast? Like if she had a choice. I got in trouble for going too fast. Why? Because the longer you stay, the more you owe. They get paid. Y'all know that school gets paid, right? You can waste your time if you want to. They get paid. I'm going too fast. They don't get paid very much with me. The average is 6 years. Why? First year, change my major. Second year, change my major. Third year, change my major. Well, I already have enough credits for my general study stuff. So year 6, I just want to finish. What can I get a degree in? I know I used to say get a degree in basket weaving, but I can't say that anymore because Chris messed it up for me, and he went and researched it and found out there's no such degree. But it's not what I said, it's what I meant to say. We get it right. We understand. That's being perceptive, right? So if I tell you, get a degree in basket weaving, you know that Chris has done the research. He can write the thesis on it, that there's no such degree as basket weaving, but you get the idea. That is, get a degree in whatever you can get a degree in. After 6 years, most people graduate with a degree in whatever they can get a degree in. That to me is 6 wasted years. 6 years for what? Well, at least I got a degree. Yes, and you shall die while you're still paying for your school loan. I owe, so off to work I go. I owe. Let's get the knack of being perceptive again. Let's go over the rules, because we do see that Jesus was perceptive, right? You have that understanding, right? He listened and he had an inkling of what they were thinking. So the first part is what? What was said. The next part is what was meant to be said. And the last part is, all right, if you mess up in any of those, what happens? Miscommunication. What was said, what was meant to be said, and what was understood. And my brain can fill in the gap. So can yours. Your brain has the ability that I can put words in here on a piece of paper that are not written correctly, and I ask you to read it, and you will read it as if it were correctly. Your brain will fill in the spots. But if you want to be meticulous and read one word at a time, you're like, that's not a word. The first word is not a word. No, it's not a word. No, you don't get it. It's not a word. I understand it's not a word. Read it. But it's not a word. But read it. But it's not a word. Chris, you've seen that, right? I had someone bring me a printout of something like that and said, can you read this? And I looked at it and I read all the way through it. How could you do that? Do what? There were some letters in there that were numbers. Yeah, I kind of got it. There were some letters that were backward. Yeah, I kind of got that. There were letters that were missing. Yeah, I kind of got that. So how did you read it? I filled in the gap. Well, how do you do that? Well, it's a sense of perception. This word looks like it's supposed to be that word, so my brain said, it's that word. So why is it that we normally can't think that way? It's because we get stuck on the details. Details. Dad, you asked me to cut the grass. Yes. So you mean I just need to cut the grass? No. Then why you ask me to cut the grass? Because I want you to cut the grass. But you just said that you want me to do more than just cutting the grass. Yes, I did. Well, why don't you tell me all that you want me to do when I have to cut the grass? Because your brain has the ability of filling in the gaps. Fill in the gaps. Well, what if I do more than just cut the grass? Then you excel. But what if I do less? My generation, you got a whooping. In your generation, you get a speech. Dad's always giving me a speech. Does God wants us to be perceptive? Can you lead anyone to Christ and not perceive? You see why the enemy wants you not to be perceptive? Because you'll miss the opportunity. Someone will be ready to receive Jesus. You don't even have to quote a scripture. You can open the dictionary and say, sin, I'm ready. But when you miss that moment of that requires perceptivity, and it passes you right by, the enemy says, yes, the chance is now past. I have to get the art of being perceptive again. See, my kids know when I'm mad. They can perceive that. But do you know all of them can't perceive it? I have Jordan. Have you met him? I can be angry and I can fuss at Jordan, and Jordan will show up and do that little face and then do the hand. And the moment he's not in my presence, guess what he's going to do? Exactly what I told him not to do. Same exact thing. Nothing's changed. So the ability of being perceptive is required. I watched yesterday, as I said to our orchestra, I need everyone to put up everything. Came back, and do you know not everything was put up? Where did my conversation fail? Where is it? Can you find at one point where I did not say what I wanted him to do? See, in my generation, it would have been this. You finish, everybody automatically puts it up. The teacher won't have to stand up and say, everybody put it away. Come on, you over 30s. Did they have to tell you what to do? They didn't become a routine. Get there, I do this, I do the other, get to next. I remember being in orchestra where it was someone's job to pass out the music. She came to class, she went and got her music, she passed it out to everybody. Teacher never had to tell anything. My job was to get everybody tuned, so I'll go to the piano and I'll hit the A, dum, and people will start to dum, 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 dum. And then my job after that was if she had any new music, the person that had the music will bring the music and she'll put it in front of me, and I was not allowed to practice the music. It's brand new music. I couldn't practice it because she's teaching the class. So I had to be quiet. And while I'm being quiet, I'm going over the music without making a sound. No, that's not what happened in my class yesterday. Someone is teaching the class while I'm teaching the class. Because the idea of being perceptive, he's teaching, he's the teacher. So I don't need to be teaching because he's teaching. So we lose up being perceptive because we're all stuck on what I want to do. Well, it doesn't work in the kingdom. You need the ability to be perceptive. In my house, I'm going to stop saying all the adjectives, and I may start punishing because I am not serving my kids well, having to describe everything for them. I'm not serving them well. See, when you go get a job, your boss is not going to sit there and describe everything for you. So bad that we were trained recently to do a function. And we had our instructions for the function. But do you know, sometimes the instructions did not tell you what you needed to do. Y'all remember that? Sometimes they're like, we'll go back to the instructions. Where is Steve? Where did he go? Where? He wrote this part. Where is he? Y'all find him. And meantime, you have somebody in front of you waiting. Give me a moment. Maybe if I hit this button. No, that's not going to work. Maybe that button. No, that one's not going to work. Maybe that. Oh, there it is. Oop. Never mind. Go back over there. I figured it out. Did that ourselves. Wait, you mean to tell me there were no directions? No, not in that one. Who told you to figure it out? The person standing before me. You mean to tell me they looked at you and opened their mouth and verbalized, you need to figure this out. That's why I'm in this line. No, they didn't say a word. They were very patient because they perceived I didn't know what I was doing. So their perception was correct because I didn't know what I was doing. Now I perceived that they wanted me to figure it out. So I did. Come at the end of everything. At the end of everything, we get to hear, that's the best we've ever had. Y'all did the best work we've ever had. Y'all need to do it every year. Please come back next year. We'll pay you to do this. Y'all may have to do this as a business. We can write this program up and do this every day. We can get paid. And I'm thinking, yeah, I still got to figure stuff out because I was hopping all over the place. On that computer, you had to see it. Not that one. Not that one. Not that one. Ooh, that one. Thank you very much. Goodness. Oh, try that one. No, that one. Not that one. That one. Thank you very much. What? You didn't bid on that? And it's on your bill? You got, wait. Man, you owe over $3,000, dude. Let me print this out. And you go over there with the people that are in charge of the money, because no money here, I can't fix it. How'd you like to be the one that got charged for something that you didn't buy? Someone else used your bid number. Who would have made a stinker? You would have, right? They got me doing all this stuff, and I don't have the proper training for it. And then they know that I should have had more than 1 day training. I was only here for 2 hours yesterday. How am I supposed to learn this whole entire program in 2 hours? This is too much for me to do. I quit. Doesn't it sound familiar? We went to Winn-Dixie yesterday, and lo and behold, they had no workers. The managers were doing the job. And the managers looked at my wife and said, do you know anyone we can give the job to? Because all our cashiers and bag people have quit. The managers are running the whole supermarket. Isn't that wonderful? Why? Because some millennium got upset that they had too much to do. Y'all know how supermarkets used to work? Let me tell you how supermarkets used to work. They used to have this little tag on every item that each person at register had to know everything in the store. And you walk up, and we didn't have the little screen like how y'all have that tells you that they're putting in the right thing. We had to get the receipt when they were finished. And as we're walking that door, we're reading everything that's on there. And we go through item by item. Now, bank, 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 bank. I need a CSM. I need a CSM up here. I need a CSM. What's the problem? This won't scan. You do notice your job is a lot easier, right? Anyone here has noticed their job is easier? So let's get some perceptivity to go with it. No, not dogging you out. I really am not. If you can be perceptive and your job easier, all of you in here will be the boss. I'm telling you, we look for people who are perceptive. It's a quality that is seldom found in millenniums. If you can only be perceptive, I guarantee you, you will be the boss. So grab a hold of it. Pay attention to when people are, even when they move around.